The rain was coming down in sheets as I drove home, the wipers of my Volvo working overtime. I'm Bastian, 44, and I work as a software architect in Seattle. Usually, I find the rhythm of the rain calming, but tonight it mirrored the turmoil brewing inside me. My wife, Mireille, was an events planner, always busy, always charming, always seemingly just out of reach. We'd been married for 15 years, a milestone I thought we'd celebrate with joy, not the gnawing suspicion that had taken root in my gut. It started subtly. Mireille's late nights at the office became more frequent. Her phone was always glued to her hand, the screen angled away from me. The affection, once a constant hum in our lives, faded to a polite buzz. I tried to brush it off. Maybe it was just a stressful period at work, I told myself. Maybe I was being paranoid. But then came the business trip to Portland. Mireille said it was a crucial conference, a chance to land a major client. I offered to drive her to the airport, but she insisted on taking a rideshare. Easier, she said, her smile a little too bright, a little too quick. That night I couldn't sleep. The house felt empty, the silence amplifying my doubts. I found myself drawn to her laptop, a device she usually guarded fiercely. I knew it was wrong, a violation of her privacy, but the need to know to quell the rising panic was overwhelming. Her password was scrawled on a sticky note under the keyboard, our anniversary date. A pang of guilt shot through me as I logged in. I started with her email. Most of it was work-related, the usual flurry of invoices and event schedules. But then I saw it, an email with the subject line Portland. My hands trembled as I clicked it open. The email was from someone named Lysander. It was explicit. Graphic descriptions of their time together, promises of future encounters, declarations of love. The words hit me like a physical blow, each sentence a fresh wound. I scrolled through the thread, my heart sinking with every message. They had been planning this for weeks, maybe months. The business trip was a carefully orchestrated lie. I felt numb, disoriented. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. Mireille, the woman I loved, the woman I had built a life with, was betraying me in the most brutal way imaginable. I closed the laptop, my hands shaking so violently I could barely grip it. I needed to confront her, but I couldn't bring myself to speak, not yet. The next morning, Mireille returned, all smiles and apologies for being out of touch. She launched into a detailed account of the conference, name-dropping clients and praising the keynote speaker. I watched her, a cold detachment settling over me. Every word she spoke was a lie, a carefully constructed facade designed to deceive me. "How was it?" I asked, my voice flat. "Amazing," she gushed. "I learned so much, and the city was beautiful. We should go sometime." "We?" I asked, the word hanging in the air like a threat. She blinked, her smile faltering. "I mean you and me." Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore. "I read your emails, Mireille," I said, my voice barely a whisper. Her face drained of color. The carefully constructed facade crumbled, revealing the fear and guilt beneath. "Bastian," she began, her voice trembling. "Don't," I said, cutting her off. "Just don't." She started to cry, the tears streaming down her face. "I'm so sorry," she sobbed. It just happened," I repeated, incredulous. "You planned a trip, you exchanged explicit emails, you slept with another man. That's not just happening, Mireille, that's a deliberate act of betrayal." She didn't deny it. She couldn't. The evidence was irrefutable. The next few weeks were a blur of anger, accusations, and gut-wrenching pain. We argued constantly, the venomous words tearing apart the fabric of our marriage. I couldn't look at her without feeling a surge of disgust. The woman I loved was gone, replaced by a stranger I barely recognized. I moved into the guest room, the physical distance mirroring the emotional chasm that had opened between us. I spent my nights staring at the ceiling, replaying the email exchanges in my head, trying to understand how it had come to this. I did some digging into Lysander. He was a project manager at a construction firm, married with 2 kids, a pillar of the community, at least on the surface. I found his wife, Gwyneth, on Facebook. She seemed like a kind, intelligent woman, completely oblivious to her husband's infidelity. I debated for days whether to tell her. On the one hand, I didn't want to inflict the same pain on her that Mireille had inflicted on me. On the other hand, she deserved to know the truth. She deserved the chance to make an informed decision about her marriage. In the end, I decided to send her an anonymous email, outlining the affair and providing screenshots of the emails between Mireille and Lysander. I didn't want to be directly involved, but I couldn't stand by and watch her be deceived. A week later, I received a response. It was from Gwyneth. She thanked me for the information, saying she had confronted Lysander and he had confessed everything. She was devastated but determined to move forward. She also mentioned that she had contacted Mireille and the conversation had been interesting. I didn't hear from Mireille for several days. Then, one evening, she came into the guest room, her eyes red and swollen. Lysander's wife called him, she said, her voice barely audible. She told his boss about the affair and about some questionable business practices he's been involved in. I raised an eyebrow. Questionable business practices. He's been skimming money from projects, falsifying invoices, the whole 9 yards, she said. Gwyneth gave the evidence to his boss and he's been fired. He's probably going to face criminal charges. I felt a flicker of satisfaction. Lysander was getting what he deserved, but the satisfaction was fleeting. It didn't erase the pain, it didn't undo the betrayal. And, I asked, and is blaming me, she said, her voice cracking. He says I ruined his life, he says I led him on. Did you? I asked, the question sharper than I intended. She didn't answer. She didn't need to. Her silence spoke volumes. The divorce was messy and acrimonious. Mireille fought me on everything, from the division of assets to the custody of our dog, Gus. I was emotionally and financially drained. But I was determined to move on, to rebuild my life without her. A few months after the divorce was finalized, I received an email from Gwyneth. She thanked me again for telling her the truth about Lysander. She said she had filed for divorce and was starting to rebuild her life as well. She suggested we meet for coffee, just to talk. I hesitated. I wasn't sure I was ready to open myself up to another relationship, but there was something about Gwyneth's email that resonated with me. A shared understanding of pain, a mutual desire to heal. We met at a small cafe near the waterfront. Gwyneth was even more beautiful in person than she was in her Facebook photos. She had a kind face and intelligent eyes, and a quiet strength that I admired. We talked for hours, sharing our stories of betrayal and heartbreak. We discovered that we had a lot in common, a shared love of books and hiking and independent films. As the evening wore on, I felt a connection growing between us, a spark of hope in the darkness. We started seeing each other regularly. We went to movies, we took walks in the park, we cooked dinner at each other's apartments. Slowly, tentatively, we began to fall in love. Gwyneth was everything Mireille wasn't: honest, compassionate, and completely trustworthy. She didn't play games, she didn't hide her feelings, she didn't lie. One evening, as we were sitting on my couch, watching the rain fall outside, Gwyneth turned to me and said, "I know this might be too soon, but I think I'm falling in love with you, Bastian." I smiled, my heart swelling with emotion. "I think I'm falling in love with you too, Gwyneth," I said. We kissed, a long, tender kiss that sealed our bond. In that moment, I knew that I had found something truly special, something worth fighting for. I never spoke to Mireille again. I heard through mutual friends that she was struggling, that Lysander had moved on to another woman, that she was facing financial difficulties. I felt a pang of sadness for her, but I couldn't bring myself to forgive her. The betrayal was too deep, the wounds too raw. I learned later that Lysander faced jail time. Justice was served in a way. I eventually remarried to Gwyneth. Our wedding was small and intimate, a celebration of our love and our resilience. As I looked into her eyes, I knew that I had finally found my happy ending. The rain still falls in Seattle, but now it sounds like a gentle lullaby, a reminder of the storm I weathered and the beautiful rainbow that followed. Betrayal is a cruel and unforgiving experience, but it doesn't have to define you. It can break you, but it can also make you stronger. It can lead you down a dark path, but it can also lead you to unexpected love and happiness. The key is to never give up hope, to never lose faith in yourself, and to always believe that brighter days are ahead. Life has a funny way of working out. Sometimes the worst things that happen to us lead us to the best things. And sometimes the people who hurt us the most ultimately pave the way for our greatest blessings. Remember, you are not responsible for other people's choices, only for how you respond to them. Now, reader, go forward with strength and courage.